Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, please stand. And welcome to the show, our host. Here's Micah.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to the Eagle Talk Show. Welcome to the Eagle Talk Show, first anniversary. Bienvenidos en primer aniversario, the Eagle Talk Show. Our show was created to increase parental involvement in the Austin School District and nationwide. The goal was to empower and educate our scholars, to empower and encourage parents to listen on their dream and to learn the resources in their community to empower that dream. El show, the Eagle Talk Show, se formó para involucrar a nuestros padres a escuchar el sueño de los niños que tienen y para aprender los recursos que hay en la comunidad para ese sueño. But today, our anniversary celebrates, and the dreams can become reality, and they do. And I want to honor this talk show to some of my fellow people that may not be here today, physically, and to this world. And those are people that their words of encouragement inspire me. And to name few, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I have a dream." John F. Kennedy said, "Ask what you can do for your country, not what your country can do." And for you, the people that made this so successful, and to my dear mother that said it in Spanish, échale ganas. But you know what? We're here to celebrate, ¿verdad? We're here to celebrate. Let's say, DJ, where's the music? You gotta learn. You gotta listen. And you gotta love. Have a seat. Wow. Am I dreaming? No. This is reality. On April 14, in Miami, Florida, actor Edward James Lomos presented the Austin community, Austin Independent School District, the Eagle Talk Show, National Award, Positive Impact, and this was by Hispanic Size and 3M. And the show focused in reality. This could not be possible, ladies and gentlemen, without our community dreamers, and we know that. Nada puede ser imposible en la vida si los que sueñan en la comunidad les dan ese apoyo. Me acompañan a invitar a nuestro primero que van a estar con nosotros aquí. Un aplauso. Please welcome my first guest. And let me just tell you, Shayla, please come over here, and we're going to talk how you're engaged with the community. Bienvenida.
Gracias, Michael. Gracias.
And we have my dear friend, and I always get confused. It's Olivera. It's Olivera? What is it? But it's Ron. Ron, come over here.
It's Oliveira.
It's Olivera. There you go. And we have Norma Garza. She also works with Austin Independent School District at Yucca Radio. Have a seat. Have a seat. Wonderful to be here on an anniversary. Es un placer tener a ustedes aquí.
What a great set you have here.
Right? It's all hard work. It's okay. It's all, the sponsors, phenomenal. You'll see the sponsors later on. Shayla, you talked about me. You came to the United States when you were 30.
31.
31.
Just a couple of years ago.
Just happened that, right? How you're engaged. I mean, the transition from coming from Salvador and coming to this país, this world, this country, that is kind of challenging sometimes when you're dealing with languages.
Yes.
So, how are you involved with your child's education?
First of all, I think it's out of love that I really decided that I will learn English no matter what. And because only doing that, I will understand the mindset and the American spirit. So I started really getting involved in PTA. I have no idea, no sabía ni qué quería decir la PTA, but I signed it up. I signed it up, and my husband, that is right over there, through his eyes, I learned the American culture, and I really love to deeply love and commit myself to education.
That's the key. And you mentioned PTA, and I know we have in the audience Monica Sanchez. She used to be the former PTA consul of Boston, PTA. She's still in the audience. And then we have, of course, Paul Perez, the director, and of course, our principal here at Walnut Creek. He was one of, I believe, when I came 2 years ago and asked him that we wanted a talk show, he said, okay. And it was 2 years planned. Then we invited the people in the community. The name of it came to eagle because the eagle represents something in the United States, a smart species, by the way. And so that's where we formed that. But without Paul believing in the dream that I could engage parent engagement in the schools and in the communities, phenomenal. Ron, you have, man, my God, you have so many years being as a news.
I'm very old.
Oh, my God, but you're doing wonderful. Who inspired you, Ron?
Los ejemplos eran mis padres.
Wow.
Okay? Mi mamá era una de 11. Okay? La primera que fue a colegio.
Wow.
Mi papá, y she was the baby, arriba de eso. Okay? Y era maestra, 36 años. My mother was one of 11 children, the baby of the family and the first to go to college. She lived on a ranch, and she was a school teacher for 36 years. And she was an amazing, amazing example. My father was a journalist. He worked for the Brownsville Herald.
We're from the Valley, right?
I'm from, yes, we're
South
Del
Texas.
Valle.
For those who know, where's the Valle? It's not Del Valley. It is South Texas, El Valle. And we have, and next segment, we have somebody also from El Valle.
Okay. And so he was worked as a, after he came back from the Korean War, he was a photographer and a writer, and he wrote for the Associated Press, United Press International, so I learned a lot of the skills there of writing. And of course, my mother was very, very strict teacher too. And she taught in one of the poorest areas of town, so she, you know, pushed, that was the engagement. That's where I learned that example too, of pushing the parents to get involved. They didn't necessarily know the curriculum that was going on, but just get involved with your kids' education. Get them, you know, to inspire them.
Right.
And so through those two, and my father left the newspaper business eventually because when President Kennedy appointed the first Hispanic federal judge in all of the United States, that was Judge Reynaldo Garza, my father went to work for him.
Amazing.
To be his clerk of court.
And how that, you know, inspires generation to generation, those messages.
And more and more.
Those words of encouragement. You know, like my mom used to say, échale ganas. Go do it.
Exactly. And when my dad was 45, he died of a heart attack. And I was 13 years old, and I remember mis tías llegaron, you know, to the second floor y empecé a llorar because I knew that they were coming from the hospital, que se murió mi papá.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw him die on the floor, and I had UIL choir competition the next day, and I was just, you know, a nervous wreck. And the first thing, of course, especially coming from our culture, that came to my mind was, Tías, I'm going to have to quit school.
Yeah.
I have to go support my mother. She can't raise 3 boys on a teacher's salary by herself.
And most of it, Ron, are things that still is passed on to some generation, to some capacity, because they'd rather, you know, provide food to their house,
Right.
the table, and education comes second. And it's changing. And
Big time, because my aunts were saying, no, your father wanted you to finish school, high school, and then go to college. Well, 3 years later, my uncle Antonio, my dad's brother, died at 45 of a heart attack as well. He left 4 boys. So here now are 2 widows. And then I'll try to keep this as short as possible, but the last brother, mi papa, he made it to 51. And he was, he got his PhD here. One of the first people from the Valley, especially from Brownsville, Mexicano, put it that way, He came to the University of Texas and he got his PhD.
So
in education.
everything is possible in life.
Everything is possible.
life.
And then he died at 51 of a heart attack. Okay? He was the president of a university.
Wow.
But they pushed and pushed and pushed, and the mother said, you all will all go to college.
Yes, determination.
One way or another, and we did.
Determination, Norma.
Determination.
Isn't it? It's un placer. It's just great to have the Eagle Talk Show, now part of the school district, to engage parents. And we have a radio show with the school district. Norma, dime cómo lo hacemos, ¿verdad? ¿Qué te animó en darte el apoyo? What motivated you to go into that path?
You let me speak
Como sea.
Spanish. Me encanta el inglés, pero me adoro el español. Mejoro mi inglés cada día, aprendo inglés cada día, pero también aprendo español, que es un idioma tan rico. En mi caso, yo a los 12 años sabía que quería ser periodista. Mi abuelo, también un campesino del sur de Nuevo León, nos inspiró a toda la familia. Él no pudo estudiar. De sus 5 hijos, él pudo darles escuela a sus 2 hijos varones, pero no a las mujeres. Era lo que se usaba en aquellos tiempos. Mi mamá no pudo terminar una carrera, ni siquiera terminó secundaria. Pero mi mamá era la más insistente para sus 4 hijas y su hijo tienen que terminar una carrera universitaria. Tienen que terminar una carrera. Y bueno, tan determinada estaba a los 12 años para ser periodista que bueno, lo logré. Para mí era una forma en una familia con pocas posibilidades económicas, era una forma de viajar, de conocer gente, de estar cerca de los eventos, de ser testigo de la historia. Y bueno, fue como terminé la carrera de periodismo. Me dediqué durante 14 años a la prensa, radio y televisión en Monterrey y en la Ciudad de México. Y un día descubrí que me gustaba mucho más comunicar las buenas noticias que las malas noticias. Así que dejé el periodismo por un lado y entré... Sí, exactamente. Entonces dejé a un lado por un momento la carrera de periodismo y le di un giro a la carrera para irme a relaciones públicas, con tan buena fortuna de que mi primera oportunidad de desarrollo en relaciones públicas fue en una universidad, en la Universidad de Monterrey. Ahí me enamoré del ambiente universitario, del ambiente académico, y me di cuenta de lo importante que puede ser la comunicación, la información y la educación para el mejoramiento de cualquier familia, de cualquier sociedad. Es un poder de transformación en el que realmente me sumé como elemento de trabajo. Y bueno, eso fue en Monterrey. Hace 3 años vine a vivir a Austin.
Bienvenida.
¿Perdón?
Bienvenida.
Gracias.
Austin.
Vine a vivir a Austin y bueno, aquí estoy.
What has been your most challenging in your career path?
Creo que, bueno, lo más retador es poder tener la satisfacción de lograr un impacto en la gente. Eso es lo más importante porque tal vez en la búsqueda de la fama y de escribir y bueno, puede ser muy bonito, pero cuando realmente cambias una vida, eso es de veras tan gratificante, el saber que algo que tú comunicaste causó un impacto, le dio un conocimiento, le dio un consejo, cambió la vida de alguien para bien.
Ese impacto, cómo hace en radio, impacta a la comunidad o a las familias y cómo the Eagle Talk Show, cómo impacta a la comunidad. How is the Eagle Talk Show? How do you see the Eagle Talk Show and Austin Radio impacting our community? ¿Cómo lo ves?
Bueno, finalmente somos programas hermanos,
sí,
formatos diferentes, pero el mismo objetivo. Y creo que tenemos la gran oportunidad de poder traer a los expertos para compartir con toda la comunidad, con todos los padres de familia, los consejos que los pueden ayudar o que nos pueden ayudar a tomar una mejor decisión en la carrera, en la educación de nuestros hijos. Realmente nadie nos educa para ser padres, no hay una escuela formal para papás, un grado, un título de ser papá, pero eso se va aprendiendo con la vida y si tenemos la oportunidad de escuchar a los expertos, a los que han estudiado psicología, pedagogía, educación, los que están todos los días con nuestros niños, pues qué mejor que nos puedan orientar de cómo ser unos elementos de éxito, factor de éxito en la educación de nuestros niños.
Vamos a ir para el público. Le voy a preguntar al director del Colegio de Walnut Creek, Paul Pérez. How do you see Paul? And welcome to our show here. Then thank you, sir, for being a phenomenal leader. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because you believed when I came to you 2 years ago. And I know I'll drive you crazy, but because I'm very creative, I think out of the box. And I think our former Superintendent Dr. Kostarfin has mentioned, think out of the box, and I took that word. And so it's being creative and reaching to the people. How do you see the growth and impact of the Eagle Talk Show in their community?
Well, one of the biggest things that I see is that our parents are now better informed. They come to me, and at first, when I first got here 4 years ago, parents would come to me and they really didn't know how to access the system. They didn't know what to ask. The vocabulary wasn't there. And, a school system and any system can be very scary. But with this, our parents are coming to us and they know exactly what to ask now. Mr. Perez, what is my child's DRA score? How much can I expect them to grow? I see this homework, and now I can help them with it a little bit because we also have, not only this show, but we also help other groups with us, Austin Learning Academy and those type of things. And so it's all about building that community, that relationship, but mostly it's informing the parents. And as your guest said, our parents are getting smarter, they're getting more knowledgeable, and that in them empowers them to empower their children.
You mentioned, and I'm going to go to the community out there in a little bit, but Monica, being part of PTA, how important PTA plays in that role in increasing the parental involvement in Austin Independent School District? How key is that?
It's very important. We are very lucky that we have 114 PTAs throughout the school district. And, and both of our superintendents have always been very supportive of PTA. So we play a very important role in all of our schools. And our parents are very motivated to help students and to help the school in whatever ways that they can.
And I'm going to go to the community. Anyone, and Paul, help me here, anyone that wants to say something how the Eagle Talk Show has impacted their life journey or give them information to either family or organization, please raise your hand. It's open the mic, and you just stand up and just say anything. Your name, ma'am?
Hi, my name's Jennifer Perez, and I just want to say how the Eagle Talk Show has impacted me. I know one of the first shows I heard you mention something about Austin Learning Academy.
It was about a year ago?
Yeah, a few years ago, and so I was a high school dropout. I went back to get my GED because I want to show my kids right now while they're young how important school is, because now I'm learning. So I graduated, got my GED. Thank you. Thank you. And I recently graduated from Everett School. I'm now a medical assistant.
Oh my God.
Thank you. Thank you. But it doesn't end there, because I want to show my kids to go after your dream. And my dream is to be a nurse. So I am enrolled, and I start in the fall.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go back to Sheila.
Muy bien.
Muy bien todo.
¿Qué me
¿verdad?
vas a preguntar?
Te tengo que preguntar. No, la pregunta es, tienes un programa para el Instituto Escolar de Dependencia de Austin. Explícanos qué es el programa, porque lo tienes con el programa con Austin Learning Academy. Son como 40 padres. Y tu programa es que se enfoca a la raíz, involucrar la educación. Cuando comenzó el tema de la plática, es de que estén los padres involucrados en la educación de sus hijos. So you started with Austin Learning Academy. It's a program. It's a 7-week program. It's showing the parents to become leaders, ownership of that dream for that child. Explícame cómo se va el programa. ¿Cómo va el programa?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Micah, for being my mentor and for having me here. Everything started, as I told you, because I came to this country when I was 31 years old. I did not know English. I have no idea anything about the American culture. And the reason that brought me to this country, it was this gringo, who is sitting right over there.
Okay.
So and people ask us, how did you guys communicate it? And I say, we didn't need to communicate. We would just like each other.
Body language, that's very good.
So, but when our daughter had...
He's moving right now. I don't know if that's a signal. But anyway.
When our daughter had 5 years old, well, also, I love this man very much. That is why I say out of love, we really need to learn English out of love. If it's not for our partner, for our children.
Isn't that great? Oh my God. That's so
Yes,
great.
for our children. Because they deserve to feel honored by our efforts to speak English, to learn, to understand the language. And if you understand their language, you will never be separated from them. We won't have pregnant teenagers, boys that are going to drugs. So I just took the first airplane about 7 or 10 years ago to the first PTA summit that was held in Chicago.
Wow.
And my
That's
husband
commitment.
thought that I was crazy. Because,
She's not.
yes,
She's involved.
and he's American, and he said, PTA is only a group of mothers that they stay home and blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes, that's me. That's me, exactly.
But that's not true. We have male parents that are now emerging to be involved, and PTA, and I know that.
And then I teach in my programs the root when leadership of PTA started. Where are the roots of PTA? That is back in the 1950s. When all these parents started thinking about more education, and they find out that they could be a voice. So now, at this point, I feel so proud, not only of myself, because I push and I can reach now the American dream. And now I want to go to Harvard to get my PhD.
Good for you.
And
There you
I
go. There you
want to
go.
And then I want my daughter to go to the best school ever because she's smart and because the American dream is education.
Yes,
I can be tired, no me puedo cansar más de hablar de que la educación, dream education, eat education, flying education, aspire to education and aspire to be en la Casa Blanca como una mujer hispana,
cierto.
por Dios. Un aplauso, por favor.
Ron.
Dale un poquito de tiempo. You'll get there. You'll
Hey,
get
Ron.
there.
How do you see the Eagle Talk show impacting our community?
Well, I think she said it just very wisely, too. And as we look towards the future, is the mentoring that, we were talking about. Now that some of us, who may be first, second, third generation college graduates and all that, we need to expose more children in the education system whose parents have not had that kind of formal education to all the different kinds of opportunities that are out there. We tell our kids, oh, well, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer to make money, and stuff like that. No, there's hundreds and hundreds of different professions out there where you will make your money, you will make a nice living, and also be happy. Okay?
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest things that I think people push as far as education. It's always about go the farthest you can to become a medical doctor because you'll make the most money. Well, I know a lot of doctors who hate being doctors,
You got to follow that dream.
Follow that dream, but at the same time, expose these kids in mentoring, internships. Get these kids exposed to being, what does an engineer do? What does a school teacher do during the day? What does an accountant do? What does an actor or actress do? What does a musician?
Whatever radio host.
Or a radio host or television or whatever it might be in the newspaper. Get them into the TV stations and into the schools, into the accounting firms, into the engineering and science labs to give them, wow, I'd never been exposed to this. I've never seen something like that. And I think that that's what we could do with this show even more. And more mentors like what you have on stage and that are coming up for the other program as well, too.
Norma, unas palabras, animar a nuestro público, nuestros padres.
Me parece muy importante lo que comparte Ron, esto de que los papás nos ponen expectativas de lo que ellos quisieran haber estudiado, de lo que ellos les gustaría que nos vieran hacer de adultos, pero sí es muy importante el disfrutar el proceso y el disfrutar el proceso no cuando somos profesionistas, sino desde que estamos en la escuela. Por eso es bien importante que escuchemos a los expertos de cómo nuestros hijos aprenden en la escuela, cuáles son las mejores maneras para que él vea la escuela como una parte formativa que disfrute, que le gusta, que no sea una obligación, sino algo que le guste y que lo va a llevar a un futuro que él está deseando.
I'm going to go back to the audience, Monica, and we talked this before, and share your words how this as your experience, you've seen not only be involved in the community, because I believe there's a dream for everybody. There is a dream. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King said that. I have a dream. Es un sueño. How do you see this show and the radio show that we have now with the school district growing and impacting life as I see it? We just saw measurements, because people will say, what is your measurement? Because I want to know that people know I don't get paid for the show. I do it with kindness, because I believe in you. The question for y'all, do you believe in us? Share with me.
I think these both the radio show and the TV show, are excellent opportunities for parents to learn more about how we can impact our children's lives. And they're both opportunities to give us a voice and to help us understand the many ways that we can help our children.
Paul, any words before we're getting to a moment of closing a little bit, but share with anything that you want before we close.
Well, I'm just very proud of the fact that our parents and our community have outpoured to support the Eagle Talk show. It's been an amazing outpouring. You know, when it first started, you know, it was kind of a crazy idea, and like Micah said, you know, I said, okay, let's see what we can do, and Micah ran with it. But it's not only Micah, it's not only the school, it's not only the leadership here, it's the community, it's our parents, it's our scholars, it's the district. Everybody has rallied around and really make this happen. And so, to me, I think this is a wonderful thing, and I just want to see it continue.
And it gets better. It gets better to this. I want to read something before we go to our next segment. This child, among the entire school district, this child came to drop this message to me. And if you see some of the gallery photos when we got here to the studio, to the show, there's a Batman, and about a year ago, I did Top of the Roof of Walnut Creek, encouraging parents to be involved. So we did a Batman, and the child says, Micah, I love your work, and that you have your own television show, and you are so cool. So this child is Brian, and Brian, I know you're watching tonight. On behalf of A+ Credit Union, Federal Credit Union, is donating you a Kindle, and you will get this. I want to thank you because I know that it impacts people's lives. As we come to the close, let's just stay tuned for the next segment of the Eagle Talk show. We have a lot of dreamers, but I want to thank Norma, Ron, Shayla. Let's give them a round of applause. Do you know that it takes about 12 years for a child to start first from kinder to high school, but it takes about 9 seconds for the child to drop from school? Welcome back to the Eagle Talk Show, first anniversary. Bienvenidos al primer año de aniversario del show de las Águilas. And we continue our segment as we talked about the first segment about becoming, dreams can become reality. And they do become reality. Los sueños se pueden convertir realidad. To join me here are my guests, and then I want to welcome Dr. Paul Cruz, our idiom superintendent with Austin Independent School District. Jessica Robledo, she's the first Latina assistant chief police here in the city of Austin. Welcome. Congressman Lloyd Doggett, thank you so much for being here.
Right to you.
How's it been with you, Dr. Cruz?
It's been great. Lo vamos a hacer en inglés o español.
En inglés y
En
español
inglés,
y todo.
Todo mezclado. Todo junto con pegado, de verdad. Así habla.
How do you see the growth of AISD in the next 2 or 3 years?
We know Austin School District is a district of 86,000 students. We are a diverse community with 70% of the students are minority students, 60% are Hispanic, about 10% are African American, and 25% are white. We are growing in our richness, growing in our diversity, and we're also expanding programs as a large urban school system, trying to make sure we're offering programs that parents want for their kids, programs that are good for kids to make sure that all kids learn and excel and graduate from high school.
Jessica, it's phenomenal being the first Latina in the City of Austin Police Department. What inspired you to go into that path, as being as an officer or law enforcement?
Believe it or not, I was going to be a teacher.
Wow. You're still a teacher. Your teaching is about safety.
Yes, I do, and it's a passion. I think I was blessed because I didn't realize that I had an interest in law enforcement until my 4th year of college. And by then, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to graduate and then go for it. It didn't matter to me that I was going to be a teacher, that I was going to be able to inspire folks. What mattered to me was that I was going to be able to combine both and give back to my community because I felt that I had been blessed.
Amazing. Congressman, you've been phenomenal as a leader, as a dreamer. Who empowered you for your dream?
Well, I was fortunate to have parents that really cared about me and about my schooling. My dad was the only one of 9 members of his family to go to college. He hitchhiked to Austin in order to get to the University of Texas. My mom never made it through college. She couldn't afford to go, and they kept emphasizing to us, get all the education you can get. They were there to ensure we followed up on our homework. They attended the PTA meetings. They made a real difference and inspired me. And then I owe so much to the Austin Public Schools because I had some really great teachers that I think of vividly in my work today. My wife taught at Ortega. She was one of the first bilingual teachers there. She taught 1st grade, and now she is heading the early childhood programs as an assistant secretary of education in Washington.
Phenomenal. And your daughter's in Region 13, I believe?
That's right. You know, Austin Public Schools have really been good to me. Both of our daughters are products of the Austin Public Schools. The daughter you mentioned is a graduate of Zavala and Martin and Austin High School, and she coordinates early childhood out at Region 13. And her sister is a physician who works with the uninsured in East Austin.
Wow, amazing. Wow. That's very good. Yeah. Dr. Cruz, give me 3 suggestions how can parents be engaged with their child's education.
Well, I think it's important for all parents to get to know the teachers, get to know the principal of the school. So when we have time to register back to school nights, is to make sure you make that contact and get to know them, introduce yourself, make sure that they know who you are, contact information, and make sure that that exchange occurs. Secondly, I think it's important to ask our kids every single day, and I know it's tough. We get home and we're tired and so forth, but we have to ask our kids, how did the day go? If we say, what did you learn? What are kids going to say?
Nada.
Nothing. Right? But they did a whole bunch because I know I was a teacher and we got really tired. But I think it's so important every day to ask questions in a different way. Perhaps, what was something that happened today that was really funny? Yeah. What was something happened today that made you laugh? Ask it in a different way so that it actually will evoke additional responses from our kids. I'd say the third thing is to, specifically in high school, is to be very aware of your child's graduation plan. In Austin ISD, we have made a commitment, and our board, through a unanimous decision, and Ms. Bradley is one of our board members who is here, adopted the Distinguished Level of Achievement Plan as the prescribed or default graduation plan for every student who is entering 9th grade this next school year.
Amazing, isn't that?
And that's important, and that has to be for every single 5,000 of the students coming into 9th grade next year.
I think it starts in an early stage of development, and pre-K is the major key, the foundation of education. And that's where we encourage parents to be engaged. Just, you know, pre-K is change. It's not you drop out child care. It's nothing like that. It's early development of the child. And that foundation needs to be created strong for the growth of that child's academics.
Yeah. I think absolutely it really is. And making sure that we're there with our kids every single day from the first day of school, first year of school, all the way through the last year when they're going to complete high school. And that's extremely important for all parents and for kids to know that we're connected, that it may seem sometimes that our kids may not want us around, but we may be close, maybe a little bit more distance, but we're still looking out for their best interest.
And I learned this in the community. It's like, you know, it takes a village. It takes a village, and it's a family per family, right? And my philosophy is empowerment, not enabling. And because some people say, well, I want the district or the city to take care of me. That's scary because you have different minds. So as a community, we come together and we might have differences, but I think sharing to find a solution for that child, for that village, I think that's very, very key.
Absolutely. I think we'll also have more similarities than differences. Yeah. Even with districts such as or a community as diverse as Austin, we all want what's best for our kids. We want what's better, to build a better Austin. So we're going to find we have so many more similarities than differences.
How do you see the Eagle Talk Show?
Well, I think it's a program that does empower because it does inform parents. And there's also, I think we have to use different mediums for parents. So there's social media, and then there's also television shows and talk shows. But, you know, whatever it's going to take for us to communicate to parents, that's what we need to do. And that's the strategy that we need to approach. And it'll be multidimensional.
And to be honored, now recognized nationwide with Hispanicize in Florida.
Congratulations.
With the district. Because this show is not about me. It's about the people, la gente. Because when I sit here, and there's no more gente, there's no people, there's no show. So I empower people to be engaged in that child's academics. And it's for the people show. Yeah, it comes with its glamour and us photos, and I'm very photogenic, you know that. You know? But that comes to really bring the people into the audience and be creative. You know, bicicleta, whatever it takes to bring the audience, be creative. And that's why the dream. Mi madre todo el tiempo decía, échale ganas, mijo. And it is true. You got to do it. Was your parent, Jessica, was your parents involved? How were they involved in your education?
I lost my parents when I was a young child. So I was raised by my mother's parents, my grandparents, mis abuelitos. And I look back now, and that was a blessing. Let me tell you why. Because I was raised by an old-fashioned grandfather, and he was an orphan himself. And he told me, he said, I am going to teach you the ways of the world and about life, because you're not always going to have me here. And I'm going to know that if you learn this the right way, el respeto,
right,
el amor, comunicar con la familia, con la comunidad, con tus amigos, tus amigas, bien, todo es posible. Puedes hacer todas las cosas en este mundo. What we need to know is it doesn't matter what you don't have. It's what you make of yourself with what you do have.
Right. Yes, it is. And it's key that everything is possible. A year ago, somebody said to us, to not only me, but also to our principal here, my boss, Paul Perez, that it was not going to be possible to have a show. But now we're here today.
Yeah.
To celebrate that everything is impossible in life. Congressman, when did you realize your dream, being part of a leader, a dreamer?
Well, you know, I think a dream is not just a destination, but it's the journey getting there. I realize my dream every time I walk across the street to the white dome that's the Capitol and get to cast a vote. But that journey has not always been a certain or even one. My experience in the Austin Public Schools was great academically, but it was a little challenging at points. I'm not very physically coordinated, so when teams were chosen in middle school, I often was the last kid chosen on the team. I never got elected to anything in school. And finally, in high school, I found something I could do well. And I'm still doing it. It was high school debate. And so through it and through great teachers there at Austin High School, I learned about public policy issues, and through learning about things like Medicare and whether we should have federal support for education and student financial assistance, through that, I really got interested in public service. And a couple years out of UT, I achieved the dream of being elected as a state senator. You call me the baby senator. That my voice changed when I was there in the Senate. Now my dream is the joy of seeing not only daughters who are successful in contributing back to the community, but now the Austin Public Schools are a resource for my granddaughters. Listening to Dr. Cruz and appreciative of his efforts. I play a game every time I come back to Washington with my granddaughters who are at the dual language program at Ridgetop about what did you forget this week at school? and then we
Yeah.
kind of play off of that.
So next time you go to Washington,
Yeah.
now Austin Independent School District has a talk show.
Yes, and happy birthday and
thank you,
congratulations, because so many of our parents are out there, they're having to struggle to make ends meet. And it's good to have a little fun along with the education.
Yeah, the
and
education
so they
gets to
can
be
see you
creative.
on your bike and they can
Yeah,
have
it's
a good
about
time
being
doing
creative, and we get our goals and we get things done and academically, because I think academically will be very fun. Don't you think, Dr. Cruz?
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
It is. As a parent, Dr. Cruz, who would you like to see in the Eagle Talk Show?
I think what's also just important, just people who are here in our community. Austin is a wonderful city.
Yeah.
We have individuals of goodwill who care. And I think it's probably more meaningful to have individuals in the city of Austin, such as you have here today, and we had earlier just in the previous talk show, individuals who are right here, who are in the community say, I live here. I'm a product of Austin. I went through Austin schools. My kids did. And that really just, I think, speaks well to kids. And I think kids respond to that.
Jessica, what's been your challenge in your career path?
Being a woman.
Yeah.
Being a woman and working in a man's world and breaking down those barriers. And let me tell you what, I put my helmet on and I duck my head and I go after it.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Right through that glass ceiling.
I got to go back to the community and ask either someone out there, not only how the Eagle Talk Show has impacted our lives, but as a leader, how they're doing to impact our schools, or the road. Anyone that wants to get up. Reverend Cindy, yes, welcome.
Hi, I'm Reverend Cindy Layton, and I'm the pastor at the church right next door at St. Mark United Methodist Church. And one of the best things I think that the Eagle Talk Show has done is to encourage other community organizations and churches and all of that to get involved in the community. And last Friday, over there on the grounds of the church, Sendero and Walnut Creek and St. Mark teamed up together, and we had a movie on the porch. And we showed a movie on this huge screen, and there were 200 plus people over there, children everywhere with their parents, and it was just a wonderful community event. And I think that's what the talk show has done for us, is encourage us to be more involved in our community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And just because you said that, courtesy of our lovely friend from Sport Clips is giving you this. So thank you very much. And everybody's taking one of this home. Paul, anything that, as you've seen so far, forming the leadership in our community, besides the Eagle Talk Show, but the parents engaging to our schools and to the talk show?
I just think it's wonderful that, it's the progress that we've seen over time is what's important. And so when we first started and before we started this talk show, we struggled to get parents to come up for parent conferences and those type of things. And now we're struggling to have enough parking, which is a wonderful thing. They're here for breakfast, they're here for lunch, they're here volunteering. They're in the classrooms, they're in the office. They're learning English in a classroom. They're walking the classrooms with us when we do learning walks. And they're talking about, what is that for? How does that work? How can I do that at home? And so all of this has just brought the community in, and that's the main thing. And we see change over time, increased involvement over time, parents pushing their scholars to grow and dream.
You share with us, Jessica, the involvement. How key is that involvement as a parent or as a guardian and with a child's academics?
It is huge. You don't have to wear a uniform. You don't have to have a fancy title. You just have to have a big heart and care. Every single one of you, the fact that you are here, that means you're a leader. You care. You touch people every single day with the beautiful words, the words of encouragement. You talk about leadership. You talk about mentorship. Those are seeds that you're planting in each and every one of the young lives that you surround yourself with. I try to do that. I love to go to schools and speak to the small children because I never had that. I didn't have that role model. I want them to see that female that, oh my God, she's a police officer. She's the first police officer I've ever seen.
Latina.
Yes, you can do it. And they'll come up to me and say, but my English isn't very good. So what? So what? It doesn't matter. You keep going to school, you keep plugging away, and then they come back at me with something else. Well, my mom and dad, they don't understand that I want to go do this work and they think it's dangerous. And I tell them, you know what? So did mine. And they're like, really? So I bring them the credibility of sharing parts of my personal life and the difficulties that I endured as a child, and you can just see them light up. That's all you have to do, is each and every one of you, share your experience, be that change agent, think outside the box, and be that leader in our community.
My mom used to say this, and it was just building the fear. We lived in the projects, El Valle, and my mom said the way out of here is called an education. She would say, share that with me sometimes, and build fear, because I didn't want to stay there. And in the audience, my family's here because we struggled, but each one of us had a very unique dream. And now through new generation, it's our responsibility as leaders and our duty to empower the next generation that they need to have some kind of education, either 4-year, 2-year trade school. We had the first segment, a parent spoke about, I got the GED class. I went to a GED class, I got a GED. Now I went to a medical assistant. Now I'm enrolled into the nursing program. That's phenomenal. Not only how the Eagle Talks has impact, but phenomenal to take ownership and break those patterns of culture, costumbres, que is just hinder us not to be successful. And people said to us, and I said earlier, it's impossible to have a talk show. It's possible to have a show to engage parents. That's the key. And so we all need to do it. Dr. Cruz, as an interim superintendent, what is your vision to change or implement to our scholars?
Well, I think starting off with the high school level, I want to make sure that all students finish high school on time, but also want to make sure that all students graduate with some college credit hours. And that's 4,500 students. It's like you're saying, some people say, wow, that's a pretty tall order. Well, it is. That's true. Eso sí es cierto, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Pero se puede hacer? Sí se puede hacer, ¿verdad? So I think we can do that, but that's for every single student. And when we say all, we mean all.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we need to strive for. And that's what we're working on right now, is how to build those pathways for students to earn college credit while they're still in high school.
You mentioned to me a while back in different meetings, and not only for money that I asked for that, but you said something that was very touching. That one of your family members, and I believe it was your grandfather, said something to you to focus. Share with us those words.
Well, I guess there's always somebody who we always reflect on and who brought a little change in our lives in some way, and it was really my grandfather. He only went to kindergarten. He was born in Nuevo Laredo, grew up in Laredo, and what he did is he shined shoes. And so he did that until really he was in about, I guess, maybe his late 30s. But anyway, and he did lots of, working in the fields and that sort of thing. But anyway, for us, he always said, pero vas a seguir. So I'm sitting there at my high school graduation, just got home, get ready to have barbecue and things like that. He said, pero vas a seguir. So, of course, I did. I went to UT, earned my degree in education with a specialization in English. And I remember still sitting there in his house. Ya acabé, ya terminé, abuelito. He said, pero vas a seguir, ¿verdad? You're going to continue. And I said, I am. Got my master's degree, the same thing. And then he said, for my doctorate, he said, pero Paul, él sí va a acabar el doctorado. And I'm going to finish my doctorate. And that was his dream. And I just set a target that I'd finish that before I turned 30, and I actually did.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much for that. Everything is possible. What organizations, Congressman, are you involved here in Austin?
Many different organizations trying to support our public schools, to be involved in healthcare, to try to keep our environment and our air and water clean, and especially to work with our veterans now that we have some new challenges with veterans here.
And that veterans is another topic we'll probably have in the future, because healthcare is the main thing now. and then education. And so for those leaders out there that are really running for campaign or et cetera, it's that they need to know the importance of the value of education, because these scholars, we call them at Walnut Creek scholars, because I believe, and we believe when we use the word scholar, ownership, and that gives them started. The brain has growth, and you go, scholars, I'm a long-term student, I'm a scholar, I'm going to be someone. So that's what we say here in Walnut Creek. And we started here in Walnut Creek a year ago, and then we started to branch into the studio. And that is the key to continue empowering the kids and the parents to engage the resources that are in the community.
I just want to say how valuable I think it is, the enthusiasm that you bring to this mission.
It's my right brain creative, I think is what it is.
And that can be fun.
And I share this with the whole community. And I was sharing with Norma in the first segment, Norma with the Yucca Austin radio, and we're talking and said, what got you to this? I remember we were very humble people, my grandparents, and may they rest in peace. And I remember I was dancing, and my brother is there, and he doesn't remember probably. He had a black-white TV way back then. And I got the mic, and I was not wearing my tiara or anything like that, okay? So I got the mic, and I started dancing and dancing. I was talking to know how that individual adult saw potential or something. And he said this, mi hijo va a estar en la tele. And I go, what are you saying? He's going to be on TV. He's like, what? And look at now. And I go, did they see something? And even to my mom that died about a year and a half ago, it's going 2 years, in her dying bed, she said, mi hijo, la gente te va a seguir. I go, what are you talking about? I didn't know that. She said, people are going to follow you. I didn't know that. But it's because I believe people believe in us and what potential we have, the creativity that we can give back. And that is very valued and priceless for us. And I think that's just what I created this show. And I think it's a lot of work. It's been a lot of work for my boss, my principal at Walnut Creek, to tolerate the creativity that I have for the community. And it's because I believe that we have a lot of work. And I shared this about a month ago. You know, the show got recognized by the Austin Independent School District Board trustees. And I said to the board, and you were there, Dr. Cruz, this is not about me. This is about the people. The award, it's not that heavy, okay? Hispanic Science acknowledges, and this award is for the people, because we're doing a lot of work. And when Edward James almost presented the award and saying, phenomenal creation. And I did not realize when I got that, until I got to Miami and said, we're here and we got a lot of work. And I think all of us in here, as our audience and leaders, we still have a lot of work. And we need to empower those leaders, and the cultures need to empower those people. Any last words, because I know we're kind of coming to a closure for the last segment of the celebration.
Well, I think for me, Israel, I just want to thank you, Micah. I thank you, the motivation, the inspiration to empower parents. I think that's well stated, and I think that's something we have to strive for every single day.
Jessica, God, you have also the charisma and that energy and determination, you know? And coming from an area from El Paso, right?
In West Texas.
West Texas.
West Texas, small town in West Texas. All you have to do is don't let fear paralyze you. And because as children, we don't recognize fear. We are taught fear. Mm-hmm. So how about we turn that around and we teach courage?
Yeah, very good, very good.
Let's do that.
Monica, we'll go back to you. Encouragement, anything, words. As you know, PTA is phenomenal because we've been involved in PTA, you and I, and all the parents and everything, and it's just the growth of PTA.
I can really only mimic what Jessica said in that we have to be change agents. Tenemos que ser agentes de cambio para nuestro distrito porque estamos pasando por una temporada donde tenemos que unirnos más como padres y como gente que nos importa nuestra comunidad, especialmente la educación de nuestros hijos, unirnos más al distrito y dar nuestra opinión, porque si nosotros no lo hacemos, ¿quién va a hablar por nosotros? Yeah. Ellos son nuestros hijos, lo tenemos que hacer.
Everything is possible.
Yes.
We know that.
So what I was saying is we have to speak for our children. We have to be their voice. If nobody else is doing it, we have to be their voice.
And we need more members in the PTA and
Of
parents
course.
and community.
You can join the PTA anytime and anyone can be a member.
Paul.
I just want to encourage all the community, as was stated earlier, I never thought of it this way, but everybody here is a leader, and so it does take all of us to go out there and continue to help and engage one another and support one another, because sometimes, like our guest said, fear sometimes paralyzes us, and when we see that in our friends and our neighbors in our community, we have to be there and say, no, we can get past this, we can make it happen.
Congressman, any words of encouragement as we come to a closure for the last second?
Well, it's an honor to be here with a superintendent and a chief.
Wow.
But my message would be to those parents who are out there, who some of whom might never have gone to college, some of whom may be doing really tough jobs and working hard just to provide for their family, that we all know that our parents are the very best teachers, regardless of their background. They don't have to be in Congress to make a real difference in their children's lives. So just showing that added bit of interest, perhaps talking a little bit about those lesson plans and coming and joining the PTA and showing up and showing each child how important their parent feels that their education is makes all the difference. And then I guess finally that I see the public schools here, not just in terms of what they've done for me or my children or grandchildren, but as a way of bonding our community together. We are really fortunate here in the Austin area that we still have strong public schools. Yeah. And by all of us participating, we not only achieve academic excellence, but we're a better community for it.
All right. So I thank you for that. So your next visit to Washington, like I said earlier, just keep us in mind as not only as the school district, but that we're expanding to reach to our families in the community, our scholars, that they mean so much for us because they're the future for tomorrow. And so that's what we wanted people to know, that this is what we're doing. It's creative hard work, but we can really do it. And so as a parent, the last words for you is, what would you say to a parent today to be involved in their child's?
I think the main thing is, going back to what you said earlier, is also about courage. Sometimes we think, no puedo ir para la escuela porque eso es que el otro, but just take some time. Take the time. We were going to drop our kids off that day. You're going to go and register, enroll. Take the time to make sure we make that connection with the teacher, with the principal of the school.
Jessica?
All it takes is, and this is what I tell our young officers, get out of the car, go shake their hand, look people in the eye. It's basic. Parents, have that courage. Get out of the car, walk inside the school, go shake that teacher's hand. That gives us volumes, and that's the first step.
Thank you. Let's give a warm applause to our guest, first anniversary. Like I say, and everyone, follow us on Twitter, Eagle Talk Show, and remember, you are the driver of your child's bus. Usted es el chofer del autobús de sus hijos. Nos vemos al próximo show. Hasta luego. Thank you very much. Have an awesome evening.
I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off. Won't you stand up and take a bow?